Alright, in this video, I'm gonna try to do my best to explain how to weapon swap and what weapon is good for what skill, as you can assign the weapons to individual skills. So, as you can see, as a barbarian, I have not one weapon, but I have another one, and I have two more right here. So basically you have your two-handed weapons and then your dual wield weapons, which go into the middle slot. Now you might be having the same issue as me when I started this game, where I had no idea how to swap weapons or which one should I even choose as my main weapon, which slot. And then came in the skill aspect of the game, where skills use weapons. So basically in Diablo 4, you cannot switch weapons by press of a button. It's not like you can go in a dungeon, you see a skeleton, and go bonk, and then want to switch weapons by press of a button and go bonk with the different weapon. The way it works in Diablo 4 is you basically have to assign a weapon, a specific weapon, to the specific skill you're using. Now, in order to do that, you just highlight the skills. First, to open up that menu, it is hotkey S when you're on PC, mouse and keyboard. And then you'll have your unlocked skills. And what you do, you highlight the skill. Under Arsenal Selection, you have 4 options for this specific skill. The first option is an auto pick. The game will pick the weapon for the skill for you. In certain cases, that is not the actual best pick for the specific skill, and I'll explain. Now, for a barbarian, you have certain skills like lunging strike. Now, to pick the weapon I want, I highlight and I press middle mouse button. And as you can see, the weapons that the skill will use are getting switched, and I can basically pick the weapon I want to use. Now, that is the basic way of how to swap weapons. Use your skills to attack, and the weapon you have assigned will be the weapon that is used. So for this skill, I have dual wield, and for my rend, I have my two-handed longsword. Now, the other question I had when I found out about this is, how do I know which skill is good for what weapon? And now that all depends from the build you are doing. So since I'm doing early leveling rend build, the weapons I use for these skills are basically dependent on what I use those skills for. So for example, for lunging strike, this skill is primarily meant to close in distance and get a few hits in to build up my fury. So therefore, even at times where the auto select feature would have had me use my longsword or my mace, because technically on that initial hit it will do more damage than the dual wield swords, I use this skill for fury. So basically every time I hit an enemy, I get fury stacking in my pool. That's why for this skill specifically, I want to use dual wield swords, because the attack speed is the fastest on this set of weapons. Therefore, I will be building fury much faster. For example, with rend I use to inflict damage, but mostly to inflict a large bleed. So as before, for example, my rend was on dual wield for auto select, because technically these weapons will do more damage on the initial hit, because I use the skill for a bleed, and the two-handed longsword is much better at doing bleed damage. When I do my hit for bleed, the bleed is like twice as big than it is when I use my dual wielding. So basically that is the gist of weapon swapping and assigning weapons to specific skills. I don't know, let me know in the comments if this was confusing or if this was actually helpful. But yeah, this is basically how to weapon swap in Diablo 4. Good luck on your builds, guys, and enjoy your slaying adventures. And I'll see you probably in the next one. You have 4 options for this specific. You have 4 options